looking like Zelensky today in this T-shirt or whatever, and it should have like, Kite Trump has, should have my own logo on it, should say take title, trademark. But it's all I have. And so, because that's why we have to take title, it's because this is all we have. But, we got to talk about our content budget a little bit. I just want to talk about what I have on tap. Because if I talk about things, no matter how busy I am, I know in the back of my head, I'm not on the radar of these people. That he didn't come through. Then I'll sit at a keyboard and start typing things and get to work. AI won't do anything for me. It just won't. You ask it to do things, it says, you're Hitler. AI tells me I'm Hitler. And it might be right. But the thing is, a lot of people wrote books and it had to be that way for it to change the world. AI, I know for a fact, would have written Donald Trump's books. If AI would write your book for you, no one should read your book. Now, here's the thing is, of course, this was before AI, but if AI would write it for you, there's no point. So you got to read my books. My books are the most important books. They need to be the most hugely successful books. Speaking of Donald Trump, let's start with this. Looking like Zelensky, we all have to be on board with the America plan. And you're going to start seeing me in a suit that he would not like. So what are we going to do about it? And that's why I was Keahi Tucker. And I saw Jai Cunningham, by the way, at Ala Moana in the last couple of months. He was wearing a Captain America t-shirt. I would never do that if I were entrusted with an Anchorman rise. And because you are always representing, the vaunted institution, this turd estate, as I call it, of journalism itself. And you always have to be out there. But the whole point of being Anchorman would be for you to be going in public wearing this suit, and then for people to be pointing out to their children and their grandchildren in Kapuna that are going to die, but know that continuity exists for their future generation through me, Matthew Rasua, at the anchor desk, reading from the teleprompter in a way that just enthralls them. Broadcast copy written by my news template that I talk about in Remixing Real News. That's another program we have to get back on track with and keep doing, so I'm on your radar. But let's go into Donald Trump, which is, he pulled out of UNESCO again, and I think the real reasons probably have more to do with building Mar-a-Lago. Google it. Google what building Mar-a-Lago has to do with UNESCO. So he's democratizing that for us. I took us out of UNESCO so you could build Mar-a-Lago too. Well, that's nice. Thank you for that. What else? Kelly Simek is someone we have to write about. I'm kind of like really psychopath these days. I try to make it where I've got other examples for people, but I've got a lot of content that I make. I've got a lot of different niches and groups of people. One of the huge ones, and I love you very much, is reporters, and particularly reporters in Hawaii. Bill 46 is never over, because they're going to recycle that again. It was something else before, which was real estate related, by the way. So Kelly Simek comes into play in a lot of ways, but it's never over, because this is a battle we have to fight all across the country, and we're still in the fight for a fire scanner. Now, we all kind of knew, okay, HPD is not going to do anything for you. They don't even want to give audio feeds of dispatch channels to the mainstream media, which I should be included in the definition of. That doesn't change. That Rick Blanchiardi is the absolute worst, because he did nothing and the city council did nothing, and this was something that these corporate lawyers for the corporate media, they have so much power, they can just start doing this with people, and they just tell the station executives, put this in a letter, testify, do this. But this is all set up by lawyers, and their news judgment now is completely fake. So it's for the other people outside of their world. I would have sex with a lot of these women, and that's what we're going to get to next. And so segueing through that with Kelly Simek as kind of a eugenic example, she apparently has a real estate license, and Compass has some kind of connoisseur thing. She's got her butlers or whatever, but all of that stuff might be about her clitoris, in the sense that, when you have these PR templates and stuff like that, it's about like their genitals, like Olivia J. Giannulli and all of that. But if you start to piece together all of that, her having a real estate license, the extent to which it's about money is not about productivity. It's about imagery. What a scam real estate licensure is. It's a government scam that helps the people that pay out the lawmakers and the commissioners and all of that. And the government's fine collecting hundreds of dollars in most cases from people every single month, or rather year, but it's a lot of money every month because you got to pay your dues because everybody goes into residential real estate sales. because you can get your picture on a website like Kelly Simek on KHON2.com. I can be on Compass. I can be on Coldwell Banker. I can be on Keller Williams. Would you pay Keller Williams as much as a agent referral fee, even off an agent referral fee? Well, I mean, okay. Anyway, I digress. So look, don't work at Keller Williams. And that's all I have to say. Well, she doesn't. And what else? But it's about her clitoris. And the whole point of talking about this is that it's about high ceilings. So she was a baton twirler. And what this blog post is about is not about Kelly Simek, but she's an important thing to talk about, because much like LGBT plus has a lot of things, but it all kind of coalesces around something behind it. Kelly Simek is that kind of thing, and the plus sign too, that it's just this thing that the more you talk about her headshot, the more you talk about her picture, what's behind all of these connections, and right there. And so I think what that's about, her having a real estate license, is to take her for a ride, you got to have money, or you got to get someone to bankroll you, right? And so, well, we got to get someone to bankroll me, definitely. But it's sex related. Of course, you can psychoanalyze everything, and of course, because I like thinking academically, you can psychoanalyze everything that's sex related. So when Sigmund Freud said a cigar is just a cigar, of course he wasn't saying that. Oscar Wilde, right? He said that it's all about, in literature, it's all about, or sex, except the sex itself in substance. And the writer Forrester, that wrote How to Read Literature Like a Professor, and titling some of the best chapters in his book, it's about sex, and the chapter that followed it was Except Sex, and it's really true, exoteric core of literature. And but the key point is high ceilings. That the biggest secret that real estate agents probably won't tell you, I'll tell you because I'm not a real estate agent, is that, or I am in a different universe in order to, for reasons. But the reason is that these ceilings, if they're higher, it's more expensive, and they will not show you things you can't afford. So if we take ceiling height, which is vertical, and we turn that, so many degrees, 45 degrees, to where the vertical line is now a horizontal line, where the principal meridian becomes the tier line of the, there's tiers and ranges, and it becomes the baseline in a township range section, public land survey system, all the parts of her body moving, with a 3D scan, how eugenic she is, how she moves between two screens to broadcast the weather. That it's about ceiling height, IQ ceiling height. It's about all measures of value ceiling height. It's about, so she throws this baton up in the air, and she catches this baton, or whatever it's called. It was my era at UH. She was twirling the baton, and so it's very symbolic that there's no ceiling. It just breaks the glass ceiling, and all comes down, and she catches the baton. So if you look at it from the advertising perspective, okay, I'll break the ceiling and break you into very high mortgage payment, $1 million mortgage in a market like this one. Well, you can also, I know they're good for her, and she makes money. I wouldn't do it, but I think we do need to be bankrolled, because I need a wife that eugenic. And so that goes to the next thing, which is that I'm a retard that want a trophy wife. And that's sort of what propels everything that I do. And that's why we talked about Donald Trump at the outset, is because he pulled out of UNESCO, and I think it has more to do with building Mar-a-Lago than anything else. But that's what drives me. So speaking of, psychoanalysis, what drives everything I do is everyone that I have access to is too ugly, too slow, too repulsive. And, when I talk about this eugenic discernment, I guess let me just give you what I can. It has to do with the speed at which people can do things and say things. Very important. And adapt to novelty instantaneously and on their feet, which is a learnable skill, granted. But there's something that, all doctors and psychiatrists and even psychologists who are not in the medical field in any way, even though they can bill medical now, because they've created the greatest scam to be able to do that, and they're winning, and they're billing everybody's Medicaid, so they can go see a therapist, they get referred to a psychiatrist and take medication, be kept in their concentrated communities of people. because what they all have in common, the reason why they're mentally ill, is because they're geniuses and they don't want to have sex with women that are on their own level. And it's a societal problem to the extent that it's a societal problem. But if we all come to the collective agreement, this is no longer a societal problem, but something that we have to develop a culture around, because culture exists and society exists and the buildings exist, the real estate exists, the structures exist, transit here at Kalihi Transit Center exists for the purpose of serving the individuals in society. That because if we just come to the agreement, individuals need to be marrying and dating and having sex with people above their level so they don't have to take psychiatric drugs, because the reason why people have to take psychiatric drugs is because psychiatry is based on the assumption, if you've got statistics involved in it in any way, there's some kind of an assumption, there's some kind of a agreement that's hidden, that's behind the map of every page in the diagnostic statistical manual of mental disorders. And that agreement that they're working from is that people need to be limited to 5 friends, 5 intimate friends, not be trying to seek fame, not be trying to date above their level, that people that think about it this way and are very judgmental like that. And if society doesn't agree to let them have that judgment, then power to look down on other people and put them in their place. No. That means all individuals are meant to be self-contained gods. And we're meant to have this discernment because it actually lowers the quality of our existence in every single way if parts of our brain are suppressed through medication in order to let someone else tell us how much we're worth, through the appraisal of a paycheck, through the appraisal of, no, I want Kelly Simek. I want my penis in Lauren Taruya, who I've talked about her, before, and a lot of other people, because they're on television. I value women that are on television. It increases my appraisal of them. Oh, you can't do that. You don't get to do that. Well, why can you get to discriminate and hide yourself and lock yourself inside of a building? There's no way these women could ever TPO me, because I'll go right to the judge and I'll say, and they'll have some big lawyer, and these women are behind locked door. They're behind security. These people are behind so much security. They've got more security than Honolulu Police Department. I walked past Honolulu Police Department on Beretania, and it's not even a joke. They have people walking out of the police department, and there's detectives. You can tell they're detectives. They got their badges around their plain clothes, and they've got police officers walking in and out. There's more police activity there and people in uniform than I saw in Los Angeles, the main precinct downtown. Say what you want about it. There's a lot of things you could say about it, you like it or not. But and then these women, they pull into a garage in their nice car, and oh, I'm not gonna get raped because I'm on television. I'm beautiful. And as connected as they're supposed to be to the community, to the world, to the people around them, they're plutocratic, and they get to live. I'm not going on public transit. I'll never be on a bus. I'll never be on a train. That's for poor people. That's for poor people. I could get raped on a train. So I behind so much security, there's no way I could penetrate it. Maybe I should be able to penetrate. And so that's the next thing. That the next thing we're going to talk about is the years that I had successfully penetrated to an extent. And we're going to talk about someone named Catherine Mickelson. We have to come back.